Chapter 578, Battle against Wu Di. Deng Shintong watched the battle from upstairs, and several members of the Black Robe Squad also arrived one after the other. It was rare to have such a wonderful battle, so of course they wouldn't miss it. But among these spectators, they were not the most prestigious. Because today, Zhu Zheng, the commander of the Jiangnan region, also appeared in the martial arts arena. He was sitting in the fifth-floor box, and the glass in front of him had turned into a huge screen, which was divided into more than 10 pieces, observing the two people in the arena from various angles. On the sofa to his right sat Tu Yunlai, the Minister of Operations. To his left stood his secretary Lan Xingqing, and to his right was his bodyguard Sun Luxuan. It can be said that the entire Blizzard City is now at least half of the bigwigs still in the city. It is indeed a bit unusual for a simple duel to attract so much attention. The battle has begun. The two were hundreds of meters apart, but they were both ranged attackers, so the distance was not a major problem. Zhang Yi took out two white eagles in both hands and aimed them at Wu Di before pulling the trigger. The bullets automatically locked onto Wu Di's position. However, Zhang Yi was not using holy silver bullets that could break magic this time, but special armor-piercing bullets. Using holy silver bullets in Blizzard City would easily lead people to suspect that they were copies of the origin bullets. Zhang Yi would not make such a low-level mistake. But even the armor-piercing bullets, with his superpower attached, also had extremely powerful killing power. But even as Zhang Yi raised his hand, hundreds of white light balls had already appeared around Wu Di's body, enveloping him entirely. When the bullets approached the white light balls around him, they were directly melted in the air. Seeing this, Deng Shintong couldn't help but nod. This kid, his natural abilities are really good. Wu Di's talents are extremely high, and even Bian Zhengwu is very optimistic about his psychic energy conversion power. After the battle in Tianhai City, it is clear that his combat effectiveness has improved by another level. Zhang Yi was unmoved. Wu Di understands his abilities and will definitely be on guard against his marksmanship. It would be strange if Wu Di couldn't defend himself. But so what? Do you have more spiritual power or do I have more bullets? Zhang Yi kept his hands on the trigger, slowly moving his position while firing at Wu Di. All the bullets hit the same spot, trying to break through the defensive field of the floating cannon. It's useless, I've already understood your attack method. There's no way you can hurt me with this kind of attack. Wu Di extended his right hand forward, and a dozen light balls condensed into a huge floating cannon, which fiercely blasted towards Zhang Yi. In an instant, a white pillar of light pierced through the space and arrived at Zhang Yi's side. However, the pillar of light suddenly disappeared in midair. Zhang Yi had opened the dimensional gate from the beginning of the battle. Wu Di knew his abilities, and he also knew Wu Di's abilities. At this moment, the two were competing to see whose trump card would be revealed and who would be able to react to the other's moves. The ability of the space system can absorb attacks, right? Deng Shintong said curiously as he ran his hand along his chin. But then he laughed, but this absorption must not be infinite. I wonder if he can withstand my attack. At this moment, the bearded man behind him laughed. The ability of the space system rarely has powerful attack methods. However, I am very interested in sparring with him. The gentle-looking man next to the bearded man smiled faintly upon hearing this. Spatial ability users like you who specialize in melee combat are a minority. If you fight him, aren't you bullying him? The bearded man laughed heartily. You're right. It was indeed bullying for him to fight someone like Zhang Yi, an outsider from outside Blizzard City. Because he was the vice captain of the Heavenly God Squad, the godly fist Liao Honglei. Deng Shintong lazily propped up his side with one hand, his face looking as good as a woman's. It doesn't matter, all I need is his ability to store things. This will make it a lot easier for our team to carry out missions in the future. But it would be more interesting if he could give me a little space shock. Deng Shintong looked at Zhang Yi on the martial arts field, his eyes slightly expectant. Zhang Yi and Wu Di's first wave of tests had not been able to defeat each other. However, the two continued to attack. only by attacking continuously could they force the opponent to reveal a flaw. Zhang Yi had finished the bullets in both pistols, and then he suddenly pressed the button on the grip, and the empty magazines fell off. 2 full magazines appeared out of thin air, and he replaced them with one hand. Bang 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 bang. Zhang Yi's shooting did not stop for a moment. Even an outsider could not remain indifferent in the face of such an attack. Wu Di's aperture defense was truly formidable, and not a single bullet came close to Wu Di. But to Zhang Yi, it didn't matter, as long as he could consume the invincible supernatural power, even a little was valuable. Wu Di stared at Zhang Yi, not daring to let his guard down for even a second. He knew that Zhang Yi was good at defense and not very good at attack. But Zhang Yi has a move that can deal a direct and severe blow to him. However, this skill is not perfect. After returning, Wu Di carefully studied Zhang Yi's information. He discovered that before using the move, Zhang Yi would have a noticeable pre-swing, and the distortion of space would not be achieved in one step. Moreover, the move consumes a lot of energy, and after releasing it, Zhang Yi's body would enter a short period of energy depletion, and he would not be able to use it a second time in the short term. As long as he stays vigilant and avoids Xinwei's attacks in time, he can take advantage of Zhang Yi's attack lulls to strike back. Let's see how about this move of mine, it's specially prepared for you. Wu Di spread his hands in a cold smile, and light spots the size of water droplets slowly appeared around his arms, densely packed. There were actually thousands of them. These were small floating cannons, although not as powerful as the previous light balls. They had the advantage of being numerous, making them difficult to defend against. Then he waved his hands, and the thousands of light points instantly pierced the space and shot towards Zhang Yi. Jigen Gate. Zhang Yi was unruffled and opened the Jigen Gate in front of him. But the light points did not directly disappear into the Jigen Gate, but suddenly scattered in the air and flew in all directions around Zhang Yi. Is this an AoE attack on me? Zhang Yi immediately understood Wu Di's intentions. Wu Di's mouth curled up into a smile. The border team once said that your ability can restrain my floating artillery. But with this attack from all directions, with no dead angle, how are you going to defend? Thousands of light points hovered in midair, enveloping all the so-called directions around Zhang Yi. In the sharp gaze of Zhang Yi, they became even brighter and hotter. Then came a series of astonishing explosions. Chapter 579, Floating Cannons Boom. Thousands of miniature floating cannons exploded around Zhang Yi, and the bright light illuminated the space, causing dazzling light pollution. Liang Yu couldn't help but say, he really came prepared. In that case, Zhang Yi's double doors will also have difficulty exerting their defensive effect. Uncle Yu also crossed his arms and said, Zhang Yi's defensive power itself is not very strong, so even the explosion of a miniature floating cannon will cause damage to Zhang Yi. But can this win against Zhang Yi? At the very least, Uncle Yu and the others are not worried. Because in the face of this kind of large-scale AoE attack, Zhang Yi still has the means to deal with it. The next moment, everyone saw Zhang Yi's figure emerge from the distance. Then he pulled the trigger with both hands and shot towards Wu Di. Although he could not use the double doors to absorb this indiscriminate attack, he was still able to escape the range of the attack. Oh! Space teleportation? What an interesting ability to save your life. Deng Shintong's eyes slightly brightened. Liao Honglei, however, still said, just know how to escape. Although it is considered a very powerful ability in the end times, if that is all you can do, you are still not qualified to become a full member of the investigation team. The investigation team needs personnel with combat capabilities to carry out their missions. People who only know how to defend are of little use to them. In another room, Zhu Zheng and the others were also staring at the screen to watch the two fight. Zhu Zheng's gaze fell mainly on Zhang Yi's screen. Seeing that his spatial ability was biased towards defense, Zhu Zheng immediately saw the characteristics of his ability. His ability is probably to connect to an alternate space outside of this world. Whether it's absorbing attacks or teleporting, he uses alternate space as a medium. It's just, what method will he use to attack? the vast majority of aliens only have one ability, and even if they develop multiple skills from it, they are all expanded from one ability. Zhang Yi's ability doesn't seem to be highly offensive, and even if it is developed, it will mostly be used for storage and defense. If it's just defense, how can he defeat Wu Di, who has powerful offensive abilities? Sun Luxuan, who was behind Zhu Zheng, leaned slightly forward and said to him, "Commander, I feel that this Zhang Yi must be hiding some powerful moves." Zhu Zheng was a little surprised to hear Sun Luxuan's comment. Sun Luxuan's strength was also among the top in the entire Blizzard City, and only Zhu Zheng knew exactly how strong he was. To be personally commented on by him shows that Zhang Yi is already qualified enough to be noticed by Sun Luxuan. "What do you think?" Zhu Zheng asked. Sun Luxuan looked at the determined and composed profile of Zhang Yi on the screen with a smile. "It's a feeling. He is too composed, and it even gives people the feeling that he is confident. This is not even confidence, but the feeling that one takes one's victory for granted. If he is not truly strong and has completely grasped the situation, he cannot have this expression." Zhu Zheng and Lan Xinqing both stared intently at Zhang Yi's expressionless face on the screen. Sure enough, Zhang Yi in the image was calm and indifferent, like a gamer playing a video game. Only as half of his face was hidden under his high collar. Although he did not speak, his gaze also looked at Zhang Yi more. Interesting, Zhu Zheng gave a smile at the corner of his mouth, crossed his legs, and planned to quietly enjoy this exciting battle. "I knew it, this kid is not as simple as Bailey Changqing said." On the martial arts field, Zhang Yi's counterattacks were still intense and fierce. His energy was not fully focused on the battlefield. This was not arrogance. It was because he knew his own strength and Wu Di's very well. If he really went all out, he could even kill Wu Di in seconds. After all, in this limited space, Wu Di, who is not good at running, simply cannot avoid his extremely wide range of attacks. But he cannot do that, because he has long since noticed that Wu Di coming to him for a duel will definitely attract the attention of many people. This may include the Blizzard City hierarchy. If he plays too brilliantly, he may be forcibly drafted into Blizzard City. After all, for the big region, it is impossible to allow such a powerful existence outside the big regional headquarters. He wants to win, but win in a way that doesn't make people doubt his strength. After thinking about all this, Zhang Yi gradually had a plan in mind. He knew how he was going to fight Wu Di. His thoughts were only fleeting, and dozens of bullets were already fired out of his hand at high speed. Although they were all blocked by Wu Di's auras, Zhang Yi quickly replaced the bullets, and his attacks did not even pause for a moment. Zhu Zheng nodded. This style of play is indeed interesting. He has a lot of space and can store a lot of weapons and ammunition. In other words, he is a huge arsenal all by himself. Fighting a war of attrition is also a very good choice. No matter how powerful an alien is, there will come a time when their superpowers will run out. However, Zhang Yi's ammunition is unknown. If Wu Di continues to expend resources like this with Zhang Yi, the one who will lose in the end will definitely be him. "Looks like you're trying to exhaust me." Wu Di also realized Zhang Yi's plan. If he really loses like that, he will lose face. The core combat member of the Black Robe Squad will be defeated by firearms. If this gets out, he will become the laughing stock of the entire Blizzard City. "Sorry, but this is all within my expectations." Wu Di tapped his feet on the ground and began to rapidly retreat. Zhang Yi's eyebrows slightly furrowed. Both he and Wu Di were combat types that attacked from a distance, but he had a killer move in the mid-range. Whether it was Divine Might or a surprise attack using Twofold Gate. But Divine Might was impossible for him to use here, and if the opponent was prepared for Twofold Gate, it would be difficult to launch a surprise attack. So what was the point of Wu Di pulling the long distance? Zhang Yi is not in a hurry. He is silently waiting for Wu Di to attack. He, on the other hand, is staying calm and firing his pistol at Wu Di continuously. At this moment, he really has the urge to replace the bullets with holy silver bullets. Then the sudden attack will catch Wu Di off guard, and he will break through his protective aura, However, that would reveal the existence of the silver bullets. Second, the silver bullets have a very good anti-magic effect, but their armor-piercing ability is not as good as that of ordinary armor-piercing bullets, and they cannot penetrate Wu Di's black training suit to cause him harm. It doesn't make much sense. With the help of the training suit's ability, Wu Di's speed became very fast, and he quickly pulled away from Zhang Yi's 800 meters. This distance is also the limit of your space travel, right? Wu Di stopped there, and the scene of Zhang Yi fighting Yuan Kongya using space travel came to mind. According to his calculations, Zhang Yi's initial teleportation distance was only 300 meters. Even if his power is stronger at this time, an 800-meter radius is more than enough. He has been preparing for this battle for a long time, including the means to defeat Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi, come try this move of mine. If you can handle it, I'll admit that you are stronger than me.